Hi, I'm Heather. I'm here with your Individual Evolution Directive, or YIELD, and I have the privilege today of having a chat with Susan Stone, the, what did you tell me the other day?
Founder.
The founder of Zen Den, and Robyn Baker, who is actually going to be purchasing the Zen Den from Susan. Susan also owns the Healing House next door. But the purpose of our conversation today, what I really want to address, is the fact that Robyn's coming into a pretty tight community that Susan has created for us. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce Robyn to everyone so we can get comfortable and welcome her with open arms, and also find out where Susan's going, because of course that will be a big empty spot. And so this will be helpful. We all know where Susan's going. We can find her when we need to. So these first few questions that I wanted to ask you ladies actually are for both of you, and so whoever wants to go first. And the main thing is just to get a little bit of background, because Beaufort is made up of an eclectic group of people from all over the place. So first of all, where are you from? What brought you to Beaufort, and how long have you been in the Beaufort area?
Me first?
Yeah.
I've been in South Carolina 26 years. I was first brought to Defusky. They're the ones that brought me here. I brought me here as a grower. I spent 35 years as a professional gardener and propagator and designer. So that's how I spent the majority of my career, blissfully working alone with nature and the plants. And
You don't fool any of us, Susan.
Oh, I didn't realize what an introvert I was until I started working publicly and realized how uncomfortable it was as an empath to be around a lot of people at once. And so you rarely will see me without a medicine bag over my solar plexus, because this is where I take in the world, and this is how I can be comfortable behind the counter no matter what comes through the door. So it's been a learning experience for me. But it was Defusky Island. It was the opportunity to grow the annuals for Defusky. It's a barrier island. There's no trucks, only barges that go there. I took a boat to work for the first 2.5 years. And at 55, I had a massive heat stroke and had to leave my outdoor career and had to kind of reforge myself or re-identify myself and find something indoors to do here in the South. So my dear friend Nancy Vista.
I'm going to pause you, only because that's a coming up question.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask Robyn
Okay.
well, except for one of the other thing, where were you before here? Where did you move from?
I was in Ohio.
Oh,
I was in the
okay.
Dayton area of Ohio, where I had been a landscape designer and gardener there as well.
I don't think I ever knew that. That's where you were from originally.
We flee the state. There's a lot of us here.
Okay. Okay. I accept that. Okay. So for you, Robyn, where are you from? What brought you to Beaufort, and how long have you been here?
Kind of like Ohio. I'm from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, and I went to school in Iowa, and then I graduated college from Iowa, or in Iowa, and I moved to Las Vegas, and I lived there for a few years, and then I got laid off in the recession, so I found a job in San Diego, and I lived there for many years. And then in 2017, the very end, I moved here to Beaufort because my husband is a Marine, and we moved here on orders. And I was kicking and screaming, I can't lie, I wasn't really excited. But then I got here, and after a while I really did fall in love, and I have now lived here for 5 years. My husband is choosing to retire here, so we're staying. So this is home. We are rooting here. For the first time, I think for both of us, we've chose to, pick here as our home.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
I mean, west to east is a big move, a huge move. Very different environments.
Very.
So, okay. And so this is more to your next, what you were going to say, Susan.
Okay.
What brings a person, for each of you individually, what brings a person to this type of community? And some people are kind of raised in this type of community. And I think what I'd like to ask, if you can maybe end, but when you are explaining the community, describe the community in your own words, like how you would describe this community and what brought you to this place for both of you.
Oh gosh, when we moved over here, it was the recession that made me give up my house in Bluffton and us move over here to my husband's bachelor pad, this tiny little spot. And at first I thought, Spirit, why have you moved me to the desert? I am trapped between the military, the old boys club, the antebellum, the Civil War, and I'm like, oh, it was devoid of any spirituality that I could detect. I wasn't meeting anybody at first, and I'm like, what in the world? And I had just kind of moved from Bluffton where I created a community, and I had to leave it. I had to walk away from it. So I guess that's one of my superpowers, is manifesting and drawing like-minded people together. So by the time I got over here, I was already an initiated shaman, and already I was an ordained minister. And so my love for the Native American path and my interest in that made me want to bring sage and incense and crystals and things like that to the area. They were part of my personal practice, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I could not find them anywhere. I had to go to North Carolina every 3 months to stock up on sage, to buy another pound. The powwow would come through town once a year. I would, spend the whole weekend there immersing myself in the energy. And I knew that there were spiritual people here, but I was having a hard time finding them outside of the health food store. And before Publix took over all the health food stores and knocked them all out of business, I was meeting a few people, like at yoga. Like we had yoga and we had health food stores, and that was all we had. We're talking 16, 17 years ago, and that was all we had. And so you meet a few people, and everybody had the same complaint. Where do you buy sage? Where do you get your crystals? And I'm like, I got to go to North Carolina. So we'd take road trips up there, and we would do gemstone weekends, and then come back with, stuff for everybody. So I'm like, somebody needs to have a store. Somebody needs to open a store. And I put it on a vision board during a health fair. They had a vision board, and I put a big letters up on the vision board. We needed a community store for metaphysical people to buy their supplies and to meet and gather. It just seemed like we needed a gathering place. And so at the end of my career as a gardener, I had to find indoor work. And my friend Nancy across the street at Nuances hired me after my heat stroke to help her in her store. In the 5 years I worked for her, she taught me everything I would need to know about retail. And she also managed these buildings for somebody else.
Okay.
And so she had these 3 buildings all in a row. The first one I acquired was the Healing House 8.5 years ago. So I moved my practice from Beaufort Chiropractic over to the Healing House. And then I would stand in the window and I'd pray, Linda, I wish you happiness, joy, and laughter all the days of your life. Please move out of my other building. And we are standing in.
Oh, I love it. No,
Linda
I love
Shelton,
that story.
oh, she knows the story too. Her kiln used to sit right here in the corner. But she could never control the environment in this building, so she was always frustrated with the clays and the glazes wouldn't work out. She had to move out because it was not climate controlled.
Okay.
And so
So your prayers.
4.5 years ago,
Yeah.
she
Vision
handed
board.
me the keys.
Vision
was
board, check.
Yeah, but that was only 4.5 years ago.
That we opened the store.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Seems.
I know,
like
doesn't
it's-
it feel like forever?
Yes, it does. That's crazy.
So with
That's
only
crazy.
a couple $100 to my name, I paid the lease, and I brought my own personal crystal collection in to sell. And I called all my art friends, and I'm like, you
Aw.
guys, we need something on the walls. It looks really empty in here. And
Oh my
people
gosh.
came from everywhere to help me paint, to help me clean, to help me set things up. They donated furniture and stools, and everybody was just amazing in the way they helped me get this going. Because I was used to lots of dirt passing through my hands, not money.
Okay,
And so this
yeah.
was a real learning curve for me. and
energy
I
in
was-
a different form. Huh?
That's right. But
Yes.
surrounded by beautiful people of this community, they were all my helpers.
Nice. Okay. So we took a little break. This is an active store, and so we had a customer come in. That might happen again, so we can just roll with it. And the one thing that we didn't quite pick up from your story, but I am under the impression, Susan, that being on the journey of like becoming a shaman and stuff, that's kind of part of who you've been all along. It's
Right.
been part of your life. Okay, and so coming to the Zen Den was just like a clarification and bringing all of that interest in creating a community out of it.
Right.
Is that okay? Okay, so with that, then Robyn, which I see your shirt says "Making Magic Happen," and I see that that's the agenda now that with you taking over. So, it's not just about becoming part of the Zen Den community, but your whole journey to the spiritual side of your life, whatever that looks like.
So I was not spiritual at all at one point, but not for lack of not wanting to. I just didn't know. I was very much a survival mode for most of my life, just due to an array of things. But a few years ago, right at the beginning of COVID, in quarantine, I started my own online business and brand, but in that I found a community of supportive people, a community of different thinking. So it wasn't just one way of thinking, it was many ways of thinking. And I noticed I needed that in life, and I had been lacking it. And so when I got to Beaufort, I also noticed how much more community is here versus where I had lived in previous Las Vegas, San Diego. We're not really always so clicked up in the community, and so we're not really connected at that level. Whereas here, I noticed I can help them, and so I was giving back and doing all of these things within the community that just made me feel good. But it made me also realize that I can help others, but also help myself in the process. And so when I found the community of the Zen Den and all of the people and Susan and all of it, I was like, oh, well, this is home. And this is where I want to be. These are my people. I found them. Like, who knew they were all over, but not really. Like, so it became this like most magical moment. And so it's like, it's one of the reasons I've stayed. And then, of course, one of the reasons why I've put myself into this new found business venture, but also just by way of rooting myself in the community, helping the community too, like by way of coaching or by way of just giving resources to people, where to find people. Over there. She's over there. No.
Right next door.
So that's been a really big part of like my why in regards to, my spiritual quest, but also just the Zen Den and all of the different ways of thinking. So
that's huge. Yeah, bringing it all together, and I think that's a big part of the Zen Den. Is it's like, come as you are.
Yeah,
come as you are. You're welcome.
We
here.
love it all, and
we meet them at the level that they come in at.
Yes.
Some people are decades down their path and are master teachers, and others are like popping awake at 75 years old going, okay, can you tell me if I'm really crazy? I can hear blah, 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 or I can now see blah, 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 or I'm dreaming about. And they come in here depending on us to have their back. We may not have their answer, but they always have our support, no matter what they're going through. And I don't know is a perfectly good answer when someone asks you a question. We are not trying to be anybody's mom. We're not here to be their, to be their source, But I think that we do as a collective here, as the people, that we feel it's our responsibility to put people at ease and to help them find the right products that can maybe deal with their anxiety, their sleeplessness, or their infertility, or there's all kinds of things that come.
Susan, I think you're answering one of my questions already. I could just step out of the way and let you ladies rest.
That's okay.
You probably answer every
I'll wait
question
for you to
that I
We're intuitive.
We are.
Yeah, definitely.
Like we really don't need our mouths.
Right.
We could just like do this between our
into the
brains.
camera
But for
deeply
your
and-
benefit, we will say it out loud.
Use words.
We'll use our words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This shifts gears. We will come back to that.
Okay.
But this shifts gears a little bit because I'm curious how the conversation unfolded that led to you selling and Robyn
I actually really
buying.
love this story. So, I mean, because I'll always remember it. But I did reach out to her a year ago, December. I think it was like December 12th. I sent her a text message, and I actually called her the wrong name. I called her Sharon. I said, "Hi, Sharon."
stone. It's a stone thing.
And I was like, I just wanted to be, I think like, I would like to speak with you on the phone, just a brief chat about business. And I kept it really simple. And she was like, sure, call me. And I called her. I was in the Lowe's parking lot buying plants. And I was like, okay, I'll call her. And I talked with her and I simply had said to her, I would love to ship crystals out of the Zen Den, because we were still kind of in that quarantine mess, and people were wanting crystals and not on Amazon. So I was like, I would love to help them. She was like, not really interested at this time, like basically no. And I was like, no worries, I'll figure it out. I did actually ship some, like my own, to friends and family, but that kind of ended that conversation. And then a few months later, it was maybe like 2 or 3, I came in the store and she was here working, which she always wasn't working, so like she'll be around. But then I was like, oh, she's here. Like, oh, look at there. And so I had said to her, I go, you know, what are your plans on retirement? Are you planning, you know, do you have children? Like, what's your goals, you know? And she was like, I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought about it. And I was like, well, I want it. And I want my girls to work here and my family to do this, and I want to do that. So whenever you're ready to chat, like, you know, like basically like call me. And and then I think she kind of did fester on it a little bit, and then she reached out and we coffeed. We've coffeed through this whole thing at Corner Perk actually, and we've laid out our business plans. So it's been really fun, and it's been a year of evolution.
It wasn't for sale.
No.
The business was not for sale. And when she said, if you want to sell, I want to buy. If you want to partner, please pick me.
Like,
I was like, okay. And I kind of took it under advisement. I went home and I told my husband, and we both got giddy. We both started giggling. And I said, this feels so good. And he said, you made something that somebody else wants to buy? He's like, good for you. And I'm like, but the thought of not working 7 days a week just feels so good. I'm like thinking about this, honey. And he's like, well, do you really want to sell the store? And I'm like, I didn't even think about it until today. But I'm thinking, yeah, if this is the feeling I'm going to get, yeah.
that's awesome. Well, that is a great story. I can see
It
why
is.
you like sharing it, Robyn. On that note, we'll keep this energy, but we're going to pause again. We have
Okay.
customers, so. Okay, now we're back. We have a little do-over from technical snafu on my part. Anyway, so we are going back to asking Susan and Robyn individual questions now. So the first question for Susan is, what was your vision for the Zen Den when you initially opened it?
Initially, I wanted to create a gathering space for like-minded individuals, a place where everyone could find their tools for their spiritual practice, whether it be candles or a sage or an incense or a crystal. And I just wanted to resource vendors who were sustainable, fair trade, non-toxic. I was very specific in the things that I really was important to me to promote as for the whole community, though, just to get us all thinking about sustainability, to get us thinking about making choices or decisions that will affect the next 12 generations. And that has been my theory throughout the whole thing, is not what is best for me right now, but what is best for the collective now and going forward. So everything had to have some length to it and some time to it. The products are thoughtful and always expanding. That's why I'm so excited about Robyn coming in, because of her vast knowledge, much more so than what I came in with. So she's going to bring a lot to this party too, as far as expanding what we already carry here.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned before that it wasn't just the sustainable products, but also the community.
Oh my gosh,
aspect more than anything.
More
right?
than anything, more than the products, is being here for the community, having community outreach, whether we are collecting toys or food, whether we are having a birthday club, and the kids get to come in on the week of their birthday, and I give them $10 to spend on stones. Even though we always have free crystals for kids, they're always eyeballing the one that's a little bit bigger. They'd really like to have that one. So that gives them an opportunity to choose something special for them. And you just cannot outgive God. So we just give as much as we can to give back. but in support of. And the other element beyond the products is the emotional part of it. Knowing that each person that comes through the door is going to be supported, even if we do not have their answers, we will have their back. That we support them in their whatever process they're in. Many people are grieving, or they're suffering from anxiety, or they're awakening, and they have so many questions. Am I crazy? I'm like, well, if I'm crazy, please don't tell me, because I'm having the best time. So you and I have got a lot in common here. So we'll we'll hold each other's hands. But yeah, if I'm nuts, please don't let me know. I'm just having a ball.
Right where I want to be.
Right where I want to be, exactly.
Okay, so that's where you started, but then now moving forward, what's your vision for the Healing House?
So the Healing House, again, just an expansion of the community impact that we have. We want to bring education to the program, which is something that as long as I've been involved in the store, I haven't had time to teach. And I would like to teach people how to channel, we're bringing the aura camera back so people can see their energy field. And because that's informative too. We are crammed inside of this meat suit, but the majority of our physicality is actually outside the skin. And so we just want to educate and support as much as we can. Continue having the readers, continue having, introducing new healers and new modalities and things like that. It's just education. It's just more for people to learn about, to maybe try it themselves. Maybe they would like to become practitioners of some kind. But we just want to expose, and in the best way that we can, all the amazing things that we could expose them to. So
Nice.
yeah, and I might even start teaching art again too. So
Ooh. Well, I can't help but think with how much you've created the vision here for the Zen Den.
Yes.
That is absolutely going to happen now
Yes.
for the Zen House. You have spoke it into being. It's going to happen. Okay, so then for you, Robyn, coming into the Zen Den, what is your vision for the Zen Den moving forward?
Well, similar to what she had just expressed, but I just helped 3 or 4 customers come into the store today.
slip right past.
And I'm not gonna lie, I can't believe that's my job. I love to meet all of these new people, and they all bring something different. Like, this one young man is gonna maybe read tarot cards for us, but he's amazing. And I would never have met him if it wasn't for the Zen Den. And I felt this way as a customer, so it's not gonna change just because I'm the owner. I want to keep that same community, that same vibe, that same place to go and find a resource. Another woman is a vendor. She heals for PTSD. That's my jam. I love that I can help women or men find ways to help themselves through their own journeys, whatever their journey might be. I do have big dreams. So I do intend to make some changes, but nothing bad, just making it better. I often will say shining a penny. So I just want to add things and adjust a few things, but overall I just want to create that same community atmosphere and just make it bigger, better, broader. And so with that, my other kind of expertise, I do read labels of ingredients and such, and I want to bring a little bit of that to Beaufort in a local store. If you need something holistically, we want to find you that swap, that product that you need in place of X, Y, and Z that's conventional and maybe more of chemicals and toxic and not what we're looking for in the Zen Den.
Nice, I like it. So really, ultimately, you ladies can come get cozy. We can stay in here. So really, you're going to continue Susan's legacy and just
Yes.
again, and I think actually the kind of neat thing about that is with Susan being able to focus on the Healing House, it does give that energy so the Healing House can grow. But with you being able to focus on the Zen Den energy, then of course it will grow, because I mean, there were often times you come in here and Susan is like split
Yes.
between the two.
Yes.
So this is great in so many ways.
We definitely want to continue to learn from Mama Bear. We just want to like add more. We need more of her, but this is the only way we can do it.
Well, we need to do it with 40-year-old energy. So, I mean, she automatically just brings a tremendous amount of energy. So
Yes.
keep that energy high.
Yes.
Mine, it wanes, but that's okay.
Well, like, could it be described as kind of like a grounding energy
Yeah.
and the fire
Yeah.
energy?
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
could be-
Yeah, I
We
like
got
that.
both of it.
I like that.
Eventually, I need to be more grounded, and then she can find the fire. See, that's why together we're so.
There you go.
Like, that's why we balance
It's
each other
working
so
out
well.
perfectly.
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
My other question for you, Robyn, then, is what is it that you would like the Zen Den patrons to know about you coming in here new? People might be a little bit nervous because Susan is,
I
she's
know.
anchored this place for so long. So it's like, what do you want people to know about you?
Well, I want you to know that you might be nervous that Susan is leaving, and I get that. I can be nervous with you a little bit, but overall, we'll figure it out. We
Yeah.
will ultimately make our own space, but she's just right over there, and I'm happy about that too. So together, we will just create a new space. One thing I want people to know about me is that I did go through the darkness myself. And through that, I actually didn't know who to look to, what to look to. Nothing was helping that I was finding. And I felt very lost and alone. And so I didn't know where to find that. And I want people to know that I want you to come in here so that we can find that for you, whatever it is. And it varies between everybody. But we want to be that connection so that you can basically find the way to your own healing, and then we'll be part of your story too. Like, because that's how I found the Den of Zen. So
The Den of Zen?
yes.
I always like to think, like, we keep talking about resources. I always think of resource in broken into resource, like that resourcing, getting back to the divine, creative, universal source. So yeah, it is. Like, it's a resourcing of everyone. Okay, I have two final questions for you all. Hopefully I haven't dragged this out too long. So one of my goals as a coach is to be able to provide resources. And so if somebody's out there, if somebody's on their own journey seeking, and they come to the Zen Den or come to the healing house, what is that you feel like primarily you would say if somebody's going to refer, say, oh, you need to go to the Zen Den for that. And I get this is
Pretty
too
broad.
big. Yeah, it's too big to answer in one question. But what comes to mind in those terms? If somebody thinks, oh, you need to go to the Zen Den for this, or oh, you need to go to the healing house, you need to go visit the healing house for this, like, even if it's nothing specific, is there something that comes up for you that's like, if you're on your journey and you need something, hey, this is where I can help you? And I think you kind of already.
And I think
Touched
for
on that.
myself or what I needed, and I don't know how to make this sound any. Nothing you can say will sound crazy here, and I liked that.
That is true.
I liked
Nice.
that no matter what I was going to say or cry or whatever, that it wasn't going to be judged, basically.
Right.
That it was just what it was. And we were going to kind of work through it and do all of those things. But I felt so sheltered in whom I could reach out to or even just talk to about anything that was funky, right? Because sometimes those can be like, oh, what's going on there? But I love that. I love that this is more of an open space. And I think that that's something to remember. All types, all walks, all backgrounds, like, it's nothing funky here. Like, it's okay here. And
It's
so
all normal.
It
Everybody's
is.
normal.
We're all normal
Well,
here.
what we created here was the Island of Misfit Toys.
Yeah.
To refer back to the old Rudolph movie. The trains with the square wheels and, the dolly that doesn't cry. All of us, it seems like, who frequent stores like this we're used to being the oddball in the family.
The
or
black
the
sheep.
oddball in the room, So we all are kind of practiced at being the weirdo in the community. But here, we can't tell who the weirdo is because we're all the same.
It's so great.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
the same and only different, and yet all of us feel safe to speak that truth here, you know? And there is no bad question. There's no stupid question.
Mm-hmm.
There's no weird question. There's no story that you can tell us that we're going to shun you for, or we may cry with you and laugh with you and may be surprised by your story, but oh my gosh, it's just like delicious. It's so welcome. And so there's a lot of things that we find that people are afraid to tell their family, or afraid to tell their spouse, or afraid to come out to their children, you know, that they've changed their value, or they've changed their mind about something, or they have a new curiosity, or suddenly they've discovered that all of these headaches they've had all these years are because they are empathic and they've been collecting energy that wasn't theirs. And now that they've discovered that, now they live a little differently, and they, you know, they don't take somebody else's crap, or they eat better food, or they have learned to wear a medicine bag if that makes them feel more comfortable in public, you know?
Yeah.
So there's no weird thing you can't out weird us.
We basically, you can't,
You
which
heard
is the
it
best.
here. You can't
You
out
cannot out weird
We
us.
want to help you empower yourself
Yeah.
in whichever way that might be for
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so I asked that question, maybe intending different answers for Zen Den and Healing House, but really it's essentially
It's
the
the same thing.
Come as you are. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
we'll meet you where you're at.
And if it
Nice.
isn't in the den, it's over there in the house.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. Okay, and this last question, and not so much. I'm not asking this question for you to answer it necessarily from the perspective of business, Zen Den. This is like a personal thing. Like, what is the one thing or message you'd really like people in the Beaufort area and beyond to know? And that can be anything. It doesn't have to be specific to this. Like, is there like a burning message that it's like, it's really important that the world hears this? Is there?
I do have a message for you. Whoever you are doing that perfectly. Even if you're perfectly flawed, there is nothing that you need to change if you're already happy. If you're not happy, then there is something more for you either to learn about yourself or about the world. It's just a perception issue that who you are is already enough. And I just want all of you to know that you are not lacking anything. There is no graduation for human beings. This is a very personal journey. Your soul is on its path, and it's on its perfect path. It doesn't matter if anybody approves or understands that. Your path is perfect and very personal to you. So come and join the other weirdos of the world. You know, join us in our joy and our happiness as we, and you know, in AA we say we trudge this road to happy destiny together. And I just think, I agree with Ram Dass, we're all here to walk each other home.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have an opportunity to do that here. I, from the bottom of my heart, cannot tell you how much it has meant to me to be behind this counter and to meet all of you. It has been the honor of a lifetime. And it's not over, it's just changing a little bit. So I'm going to step out from behind this counter, and you'll see me somewhere along the journey. But I'm not going away. Thank you all so very, very much for all the joy, for everything I've learned from you. It has truly been quite an honor.
I should have caveated this, Susan, with you can't make us cry.
I know. But I think we feel likewise, though. And I think that that's why a lot of us get a little nervous, because she also, you know, she saved me too. You know, I wasn't just somebody who came in the store. So ultimately for me, I think that there are more of you like that out there. And so I encourage you all to, you know, just stop in, just get the vibe, see if it's something that really does catch for you, because you would be surprised what it does feel like inside of the den, and the spirit and the energy that's been created here is only going to grow, evolve, and get prettier. So we don't have to worry about any of the sad parts, although I'm happy she's across I am happy. So I also am glad that she will extend basically all of her gifts to us still, just in a better way. So that's what I'm here for, and I'm pretty excited about.
So is that
Yeah.
that your message?
That's my message, is to
Okay.
be a little bit more open. by way of thoughts. But if you were going to ask Robyn Baker, the life coach, the business person,
That's who we're asking.
one thing that I would say to everyone out there is I truly do believe a lot of times our childhood roots us in certain ways. It can root us in certain ways that are good, or maybe certain ways that are bad. And so sometimes uncovering some of those roots or things that might be holding you back actually open up a whole world to what we are missing. And I am a perfect example of that. So I said it yesterday, I am the example that you can in fact do it, because I have created myself out of nothing, out of squalor, out of the darkness, the depths of nothing. And I have brought myself up by way of a lot of tools, by way of a lot of help, by way of a lot of uncovering traumas and things that have happened. It doesn't matter, it's life. There's going to be things that happen. So through ways of healing, I can now bring strength to more of you instead of just being, I guess, lost myself. So that's why we're going to show you the way, really, or do our best. How about that? So.
That's awesome. Obviously, I can't thank you ladies enough for doing this. I think it's huge. It's a great opportunity for me, and I am so excited for the community, because this is huge for the community, and you have both been wonderful, and thanks you so
for
much.
having us.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Guys, we will see you.